What's up, guys? Chef Dave back with another tin fish review. So today we're going to leave Portugal. I know, very sad. And then we're going to head over to Spain. So today we're going to talk about Ramon Pena. Ramon Pena is, what's the best way to describe it? So I think they mirror a lot of the Portuguese stuff really, really well. And I always kind of say that, the Portuguese, to me, again, this is my opinion, they do the best fish. Anything that swims, right? But the Spanish really, really hang their hat on, the shellfish, the other stuff, whether that be scallops, mussels, octopus. They're great at that. I mean, they really are great at that. And Ramon Pena, they're located in the town of Gambalos in Galicia, Spain. They've been in business for almost 100 years. So they really, obviously you've been in business for 100 years, you're probably doing something right. That's what I always say. Quality has always been a huge factor for them, and doing things right in the process. And that's, that starts at the beginning from the fishermen. I talk about this a lot with like really quality tin fish, where like it's not just about like buying some fish and putting it in a tin. That's not what makes a great tin. What makes a great tin is having a relationship with your fishermen first, talking to them, harvesting with them, making sure that they're doing the right things. And so companies like Ramon Pena and like Minerva and Tenorio, a lot of these companies really, they have these relationships with their fishermen. And so catching the fish is important, how you catch those fish, and then how you cook those fish. How's those fish handled as soon as they get out of the water? Because, that's when the clock starts ticking, right? As soon as that fish comes out of the water and essentially dies, that clock is ticking. You have a window to have the best, right? They really do. They understand that, and they have understood that forever, especially, 90, 100 years ago when refrigeration, wasn't a thing, like it wasn't a thing, so it was, time was of the essence, so it's really important. And, they companies like this have taken that idea and that seriousness of quality, and they've, kept pushing it forward through the years. And now, you implement all the new technologies and things like that, which even push freshness and quality forward even further, and you really end up with amazing and beautiful products. And I don't say that enough about the great tins of the world, no matter where they're from. They all have that in common. And so, not to get off on a tangent, but Ramon Pena is really one of those companies. So they have a line of, lots of things, and we carry several of them at Leaves and Loaves Goods. One of my favorites of theirs is the fried mussels in escabeche. This comes in a couple different sizes. It comes in the silver edition and the gold edition. The gold edition is kind of like, as great as a mass quantity of something is, there's always the greatest of the great, right? There's always that little something extra, that little special portion. And that's really kind of what the gold edition is. It's really like when we talk about the mussels, it's really about like the biggest, the most plump, where the silver edition is, it tends to be a little like, these are 1620 units. I forget what size, other than this, they come in, but really it's, with tins, size matters, so I think some of the gold tins are like 8-10, so there's 8 to 10 mussels per tin, but they're big mama jammas. You know, they're beautiful big. Their mussels come in a escabeche style sauce. You know, the escabeche style sauce is kind of like, you know, it's got the peppers and onions and garlic and good oil, and it's kind of cooked. It's almost like a sofrito, sort of. It's got a little acid in there. To speak a little bit about Galicia itself, so if you know the map of the Iberian Peninsula, you know, you got, let's just use this as the map, right? You got it like this, okay? And, you know, you got Spain kind of starts here, Portugal's here, Spain starts here, and then goes around Portugal, then the rest of the Iberian Peninsula is Spain. And so Galicia is this part right here. It's on the Atlantic coast along with Portugal. One of the reasons that this coast has some of the best seafood in general, but in particular things that live amongst the rocks, if you will, you know, octopus and mussels, clams. They're off the coast here. The water is extremely deep, extremely deep. There's off of the coast of Portugal, there is a giant trench. That's why we have big wave surfing in Nazaré. But off this entire coast, this water is quite deep. And so you get this huge upswell of this super nutritious water that comes from deep, 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 deep down. It's ice cold. The water's always kind of cold on this side. And it really introduces, with the tides, super, super, super mineral-rich waters. And so whether that be just natural, you know, aquaculture or farming or just catching, really amazing fishing and quality of products come from this entire coast. And that's one of the reasons why. So just wanted to touch base on that. Typically this comes in a nice cardboard style box. I don't know if you can see, I'll put it up to the camera, but the box to me is beautiful. It's got this kind of calligraphy, not calligraphy, but it's these designs that are kind of like, you know, there's like a lighthouse. It's basically everything that's like speaks of the coast and the seaside. It's really beautiful packaging. It's kind of like clean and nice. It almost reminds me of, and I don't know if this is, this could be part of the story. I'd have to look it up to make sure. But the Galician coast, I believe, is famous for gold, silver. I believe maybe that these are kind of meant to represent the ingots of gold and silver. Obviously, they have the gold edition. I could be totally wrong there, but I do know that there is a rich history of, you know, that kind of wealth in that area of Spain. But you know, there's all these maritime designs that are really, really beautiful. There's octopus, there's an anchor, there's ships sailing, there's a message in a bottle, mermaid. So these are the boxes. They come really, really nicely packed. Like I said, I do love the way it looks. So very easy to open. They're not like the hand wrap ones in Portugal, which, you know, when they tape down, which are beautiful, but they can be a little bit harder to open. I will say that sometimes the annoyance of these boxes is that the glue that they seal it with sometimes does come undone. Not the end of the world, but, you know, then we have to kind of re-glue them. And then they typically come in this oval tin. Like this. It's not a square tin, it's an oval tin. For some reason, I could be wrong, but I believe a lot of the Spanish tins are oval. And I think that's just what their style, you know, just they want to do an oval tin. That's it. Let's pop this bad boy open. So here we are. So here's a tin, Ramon Pena, okay. Just like every other tin, you kind of just, you know, push this back. I'll rotate this, it's easier, and then very gently, fulcrum style, and we're going to pop it open like that. Okay, beautiful. And so that's, I mean, listen, you know, I talk about this stuff, you know, with the Portuguese tins, you know, again, this mentality is why tins like from companies like this are fantastic. And that's because, look at this packing. You can tell everything's kind of hand laid in there. Not, care is taken into this. So it's beautiful. Smells are great. Here, I just emptied that. I don't know if you can see this on the camera or not, but you see the juice and the oil. Okay, so you see really, really juicy product. And then we'll pop these open like this. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tin. Okay, we'll get this out of the way. So, beautiful whole mussels. I mean, for one tin, I mean, that's actually a decent, that's a good amount of mussels. I mean, essentially that's a portion. You've got 16 to 20, I believe, is the count. So these are considered these smaller ones, and that's actually really good. But 16 to 20 mussels, when you think about 16 to 20 mussels, just for you to have kind of a perspective of what, in a whole form, what 16 to 20 mussels are, there are about 20, give or take, 20 mussels, your standard, your average, 20 to 24 mussels in a pound. And they are this size, sometimes even a little smaller because, it's shell, right? So it weighs a lot. So when you think about it in that perspective, in this tin is a pound of raw mussels, in shell. So put that in perspective when you think about, what the cost of something is and, what the quantity of something is. Each tin is a pound of mussels, basically. So that's a good thing to note for yourselves. So here we have our mussels. Like I said, we just opened them. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I don't want to spill the juice. But, you smell the ocean, right? That's super important with tins like this, is you smell the ocean, and you don't, and I use this in one of my last videos. It doesn't smell fishy, and I do hate that adjective, but it smells, when you smell this tin in particular, you get that ocean. I smell mussels because as a chef, I smell mussels constantly, especially right now. But I smell the mussel, and but then you also smell kind of like that. So the escabeche with a little bit of acid, the garlic, almost like a tomato in there, I think. But let me see. Yeah, you smell, the spices. You smell the little bit of vinegar. You smell some of those kind of sweetness. There might be like little obviously some paprika, tomato. There might be like tomato powder in here as well. But really, really, I mean, again, great stuff. So let's give one a try. From a texture standpoint, it's that firmness. And this firmness is what really, a lot of times these tins are really meant to age, So a lot of people say the older they get, the better they get, specifically with Spanish shellfish. Shellfish are Spanish, non-fish, but any good tin really gets better with age. But in particular, a lot of people talk about, the mussels and clams and things like that, because this firmness really is what helps them last really long. But let's taste one. Yeah. Yeah. So it's not like it's not like eating a steamed and fresh mussel. Like if you were to go to the store and steam a bunch, it has a firmer texture than that. But it's amazing how fresh they taste. Like the tinning process is done so well that it kind of really locks in that fresh flavor. The texture a little firmer, obviously, again from the tinning process, especially when you have introduced things like vinegar. Sometimes it tightens things up, but just really, really, really tasty. you know, this into a pasta, into, you know, mixed with some, you know, like julienne pepper or onion, kind of like almost like a salad, and then over toast. Now we're talking. We're gonna do something fun with these, as kind of like a finish and a garnish. Yeah. There's this nice sweetness to it, and almost like a creaminess to it, without like being creamy, but like it's kind of a creaminess to it. It's really nice. The sweetness, oceanic flavor, really amazing stuff. Really amazing stuff. I can't wait to show you what we're gonna do with this. So guys, remember, if you're having fun learning about tin fish with us and you're really interested in tasting more, head on over to www.weavesandwovesgoods.com. Put yourself a package together, or a lot of times I'm putting curated packages together that are just available. You can click and go, and you know, get some for yourselves. Give it a try. I promise you, if you enjoy seafood, if you enjoy exploring food, you will not be sorry getting into all these tins. So head on over there, weavesandwovesgoods.com. Get yourself the tins. Don't forget, if you're enjoying the videos themselves, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Stay tuned for all the cooking goodness.